Want me to open that for you?
Like, have 1-2 days left in it. They do like grapes and strawberries, but the problem is they have too much. And they. Ready to go. And you know, there's one side and the other. Daddy, you want tutti frutti? No one had any.
Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. It's 8 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Today, Ahana and Rhythma will be leading the kirtan. So, ladies, if you will, go ahead and unmute yourself, and the floor is yours.
Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vashata Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Nate Hare Radha Nate Hare Radhe, Jaya Radha Nate Hare Radha Nate Hare Radhe, Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe, Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe, Nittai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaur Hari Bol, Nittai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaur Hari Bol, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, ladies. So Shriman and Sridhar are going to be singing Yashamati Nandan. So Sridhar, take it away.
Yashomati Nandana Brajabaranagara Gokularanjanakana Yashomati Nandana Brajabaranagara Gokularanjanakama Gopi Paranadana Madana Manohara Kariyadamana Vidana Gopi Paranadana Madana Manohara Kaliyadamana Vidana Amala Harinam Amya Vilasa Amala Harinam Amya Vilasa Amala Harinam Amya Vilasa Amala Harinam Amya Vilasa Purandara Navinanagara Vara Vamsi Padana Suwasa Vipina Purandara Navinanagara Vara Vamsi Padana Suwasa Brajajana Parana Surakulana Sana Nanda Godana Rakuala Brajajana Parana Surakulana Sana Nanda Godana Rakuala Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Govinda Nanda Gopala Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Sundara Nanda Gopala Yamuna Tatachara Gopi Vasana Hara Rasa Rasita Kripa Moya Yamuna Tatachara Gopi Vasana Hara Rasa Rasita Kripa Moya Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natavara Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natavara Bhakti Vinoda Ajaya Bhakti Vinoda Ajaya Bhakti Vinoda Ajaya Bhakti Vinoda Ajaya. Lord Krishna is the beloved son of Mother Yashoda, the transcendental lover in the land of Vraja, the delight of Gokul, Kana, the wealth of the lives of the gopis. He steals the mind of even Cupid and punishes the Kavya serpent. These pure, holy names of Lord Hari are full of sweet nectarian pastimes. Krishna is the lord of the 12 forests of Vraja. He is ever youthful and is the best of lovers. He is always playing on the flute, and he is an excellent dresser. Krishna is the protector of the inhabitants of Vraja, the destroyer of various demoniac dynasties, and the keeper and tender of Nanda Maharaj's cows, the giver of pleasure to the cows, land, and spiritual senses, the husband of the goddess of fortune, the butter thief, and the beautiful cowherd boy of Nanda Maharaj. Krishna wanders along the banks of the river Yamuna. He stole the garments of the young damsels of Vraja who were bathing there. He delights in the mellows of the Rasa dance. He is very merciful, the lover and beloved of Srimati Radharani, the great dancer of Vrindavan, and the shelter and only refuge of Thakur Bhakti Vinod.
Thank you, Sridhar. So today's class will be given by His Holiness Hanumat Prashik Maharaj. So Maharaj, without further ado, the floor is yours. And you can share your screen if you so choose. Maharaj, can you hear us?
You know, my connection got lost. Let me go and change over to the computer. Okay. Are you going to make me the presenter?
You are already the presenter.
Okay. I'll leave here. See you in 1 minute.
It's gonna fall.
Hello, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Rama. Okay. I'm here in the Ashok Van. Let's see. Okay, share screen. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Abhishek, can you respond?
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, so by Radhanatbar's request, we have a PowerPoint show. It's pretty good. I push function F5. Okay, can you see it?
Yes, Maharaj, we can.
What do you see?
Radha Natvar from Columbus, Ohio. Not here.
Oh, you're a connoisseur.
Yes, sir.
Wasn't able to sneak that past you. Yeah. The altar's the same, isn't it? The altar is the same.
Yeah, the altar looks to be the same. Yeah.
Yeah, but the base is not the same. Anyway, very
The
beautiful.
base, no, Maharaj, the base is the same for the most part, just the color is different. Theirs is darker.
Okay.
And their faces are a little different as well.
Yeah. So I tried to look on the intertube, YouTube internet. I guess I should come on and get the intertube. Stay alive. So maybe I can get another picture someplace. But this is nice. Okay. So 2021, June 4th, Friday night live. Shri Radhanatbar Sangha. Srimati Radharani ki jai, Natbar ki jai. The best of all, Vrindavana Natabara. Okay. And then what we're looking at here is Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 6, text 9 through 13. And we're taking this up because we're working on these, Bhakti by Baba program. Prabhupada wanted this for the pundits. So any pundits in our audience, anybody who happens to have an MD or a PhD or a BA or a BS or LLD, hey, you should apply that ability to academically studying, systematically studying Prabhupada's books. Okay, but simultaneously, Prabhupada says Nanda Maharaj could not read or write. What to speak of the girls, the gopis? But he said they knew everything because they would go to the classes given by the learned brahmanas, and they would see the puppet shows that the brahmanas would organize and inspire to communicate these messages. So it's always that way. Different people, different characters. Some people are cooks. Some people are, can run a 4-minute mile. Some people, yeah. So we're working with our nature with the board of examiners, so we can discuss a little bit more what's happening in terms of developing Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti by Baba. Nice diploma, by Sheshika, our big Sankirtan leader, said people should use it just like Prabhupada used it. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, So, in that perspective, we're working on the questions for the Bhakti by Baba diploma for the first 2 cantos. I try to fit those in with my own busy life, busy schedule, everything else. And what we come to here is one section then is essay questions. So we're arguing with them. We want to establish a series of essay questions that people can develop all the way through the first 6 cantos, Bhakti by Baba, and they haven't got that included in their structure. So I'm arguing with Atul, others, about the structure of the examinations and stuff, fundamental things. And beyond that, for these first 2 cantos, we have, I think, very, very good questions also, which I hopefully can bring in line. But we're limited because our eyes are falling apart to everything else. Okay. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Abhishek.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So This is, oops, my goodness, Krishna. So this is then the encounter of Narada Muni with Vyasadeva. And Vyasadev's asking him, well, you're telling me to produce a Srimad Bhagavatam. I can see how it's there. But tell me personally how it influenced you. It's a very, very good question. And Narada Muni says, okay, I'll tell you about my previous life because it's related to your self-realization. Other than that, I was actually told by our first disciple, Raktak Das, that it's the etiquette that one should not ask a sannyasi about his previous life, okay, before he took sannyas. And then he says, Narada Muni says, once upon a time, my poor mother, because he was a son of a, he says Morky, he was a son of a not very intelligent serving lady, serving girl in the house. I said, very simple person, not bad, but a very simple person. Is Morky. And then somehow or other, she got with a child, and Narada Muni was a child, and he went to a Brahmin school there, and he had no knowledge of other places and was completely dependent upon the love of his mother. But once upon a time, it says, my poor mother, when going out one night to milk a cow, was bitten on the leg by a serpent, influenced by supreme time. Oh, so right away there's a lesson. We're all being bitten by big and little enemies. Yeah, yeah. And how are they being? Ultimately they're influenced by supreme time. So we have to, unless we're idiots and fools, we see the hand of God in everything. Yeah, just like the hand of the king is in everything. But in some places, if we don't want a relationship with him, we're not in a relationship with him, then that's expressed through various impersonal laws. But they're his laws. Okay, his laws, the government's laws. Yeah. Yeah. And so anyway, this says she was the serpent and her were influenced by time. He says, I took this as the special mercy of the Lord. Okay. So he's feeling that the king is also dealing with him personally. And it's not just a reaction, from the courts and the police, but the courts and the police are being observed by the king in terms of what's happening to him. I took this as special mercy of the Lord who always desires benedictions for his devotees. And he learned from the Bhaktivedantas before how to worship Krishna and was starting to do it. And so thinking, I started for the north. After my departure, I passed through many flourishing metropolises, towns, villages, animal farms, mines, agricultural lands, valleys, flower gardens, nursery gardens, and natural forests. They pass through hills and mountains full of reservoirs of various minerals like gold, silver, copper, and through tracts of land with reservoirs of water filled with beautiful lotus flowers fit for the denizens of heaven, decorated with bewildered bees and singing birds. I then passed alone through many forests of rushes, bamboos, reeds, sharp grasses, weeds, and caves, which were very difficult to go through alone. I visited deep, dark, and dangerous, fearful forests, which were the play yards of snakes, owls, and jackals. So he was still a little boy. Jackals are not a pleasant, encounter for a little boy. Okay, so now let's look at what Prabhupada says about this. This purport is especially very nice in terms of, an essay question. See, one of my essay topics I'm suggesting is Varna Ashram Dharma, and developing it, and then give some guidelines for people, how they can develop it through the cantos, each canto, and combine it at the end into one big essay, which would be very useful. Another topic is science in the Vedas. Another topic is prayers in each canto. Oh, analyzing them, looking at them. So you have some nice collection of essay topics like that. Okay, so I think this will work here. Click that there. Yes, there we go. Okay, so 113. Abhishek Singh, can you chant this?
Certainly try.
Okay, go ahead. We're watching. Can you read the Devanagari?
No, I can't. Sorry, I need the English.
Like that. Tagore Sundar, can you read it?
Yes, Maharaj, I can.
Just read it one time. We'll all listen like that. Us gringos will listen. Abhishek's also a gringo.
Nalvenu Shastanba Kushaki Chak Gavaram Ek Evatio Ek Evatiyato Ham Madraksham Vipinam Mahat Ghoram Pratibhayakaram Yolul Shivajiram.
So Varna Ashram, Tamal Krishna Maharaj one time told all the Indian community in Houston a long time ago. He was trying to start a high school. You know, he said, "You're very nice, so your children will also be nice." He didn't say very nice. Nice. You know, and he said, "You can speak your language and understand it, but you see, they'll be able to understand it, but they may not be so fluent in speaking it." Okay. And he said, "Then unless we get a high school going and develop our culture," he said, "you're going to see that your grandchildren are going to be just like the people around you." Yes. So he wasn't able to do it then exactly. We're still struggling with all these things. The important thing is Haranama, 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 Eva Keva Lo. Hello in the stave, in the stave, in the stave, Gatiranyata. That's the essence, that's the Dharma. But all these rest, these things are very useful. I may have a seed. Okay, that's the seed, this Hare Krishna. But I need good land. I need proper protection from animals and different things. I need sunlight. I need proper water, and even trimming and things and protection from the wind with a stick. And if I get that, eventually, I'll get mangoes. So hearing and chanting is the watering of the seed, but Varnashram, following the 4 principles, 16 rounds and 4 principles. 4 principles are not spiritual. They are the background which creates the proper situation for the chanting. So they're integrated. There is a utility to this world. There is a utility to Varnashram. Okay, I'll chant now, and Abhishek, and you respond. Nalavenu Sharashtanba.
Nalavenu Sarastanba.
Kusha Kichaka Ghavaram.
Ushakicha Gavadaram.
Eka Evati Yatoham.
Eka Evati Atoham.
Adraksham Vipanam Mahat.
Adraksham Vipanam Mahat.
Goram Pratibhayakaram.
Goram Pratibhayakaram.
Yaloluka Shivajaram.
Vayaloklo Shivajaram.
Okay, you chant and I'll repeat.
Nice. Nalavenu Sahastanba.
Nalavenu Sharashtanba.
Kushakicha Gavadaram.
Karsha Kichaka Ghavaram.
Eka Eva Yatoham.
Eka Evati Yatoham.
Adraksham Vipanam Mahat.
Adraksham Vipanam Mahat.
Goram Pratibhya Yakaram.
Goram Pratibhayakaram.
Yalok Luka Shivar Jiram.
Yaloluka Shivajaram. Somebody else chant? Unmute yourself and I'll respond. Don't be shy.
Nalavenu Shahastanba.
Nalavenu Sharashtanba.
Ushaki Chaka Kahavaram.
Kusha Chika Kagavaram.
Eka Ivatyadoham.
Eka Piyatoham.
Adarsharama Vipinam Mahat.
Adraksham Vipanam Mahat.
Ghoram Pratibhayakaram.
Pratibhayakaram.
Yaloluka Shivajaram.
Yaloluka Shivajaram. Ladies, damas estimadas, kulas 3. Some ladies chant.
I can chant Hindi one. Can you just show? Yeah. Nalvenu sarastamb
Nalavenu Sharashtamba
Kushakichaka Griham Ram
Kusha Kichaka Ghavaram
Ek Evati Yatoham
Eka Yevati Yatoham
Rudraksham Vipinam Mahata
Adraksham Vipanam Mahat
Ghoram Pratibhayakaram
Goram Pratibhayakaram
Vyaloluka Shivajiram.
Vyaloluka Shivajvaram. More? Other ladies? You don't want us to think that guys are smarter than girls, do you?
Hare Krishna. Nalavenu Sharastanba Kushaki
Nalavenu
Chaka
Sharastanba
Kushaki Chaka Gavaram
Kushaki Chaka Ghavaram
Eka Evati Yato Aham
Eka Evati Yatoham
Adraksham Vipinam Mahat
Adraksham Vipanam Mahat
Ghoram Pratibha Yakaram
Goram Pratibhayakaram
Vyaloluka Shivajiram.
Vyaloluka Shivajaram. Okay. If you're not talking, close your microphone. Otherwise, there's some background noise sometimes. Yeah. Sanjay Singh. Sanjay Singh. Sanjay Singh. Nala, pipes. Venu, bamboo, sara, pins. Tanba, full of. Kusha, sharp grass. Kichaka, weeds. Ghavaram, caves. Somebody, Sanjay Singh. Who's that? Maybe you can close the microphone there. What do we got here? Do I have the power here? I do.
You do, Maharaj.
I have the power. I did it. Okay. Oh my God. I won't let it go to my head. Ekaha, alone. Eva, only. Ati yataha, difficult to go through. Aham, I, adraksham, visited. Vipanam, deep forests. Mahat, great. Ghoram, fearful. Pratibhayam akaram, dangerously. Vyala, snakes. Uluka, owls. Sounds the same. Uluka. Yeah. And Shiva, jackals. My goodness, this is the word Shiva means jackals also. Ajiram, playgrounds. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Actually, again, there's I saw one of the original volumes that Prabhupada brought with him from India. Very nice. You know. And then one devotee did a very nice service of actually reprinting them as facsimile. Pretty much they look like the original ones. And it was so nice to read Prabhupada's original translations, and of course to see the typographical errors in the printing company and everything else. But then, as I understand, it was Prabhupada's request that these be then edited by his qualified, what do you call it, English-speaking disciples to bring it. I think Prabhupada said he wanted it on the level of college level English, like that, college level English. Okay. So translations, and then Narada Muni says, I then passed alone through many forests of rushes, bamboos, reeds, sharp grass, weeds, and caves, which were very fearful to go through alone. Aha! Narada Muni was afraid. I visited deep, dark, and dangerous, fearful forests, which were the play yards of snakes, owls, and jackals. And owls can be very dangerous. They're not afraid of people. Sometimes they're quite big. They even can run off with wolves and stuff. Some breeds of owls. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is the duty of a mendicant, Parivrajaka to experience all varieties of God's creation by traveling alone through all forests, hills, towns, villages, etc., to gain faith in God and strength of mind, as well as to enlighten the inhabitants with the message of God. I went to the what's that place today? Office Max. I was just buying some pens and dropping off a letter. And then the guys were kind of friendly, and I guess he was manager of that shift. He said, you find everything you want. And I just said, hey, I'm looking for God, kind of shocking. I said, but I know this is Office Depot. And it went across really well. The guy accepted, oh, it's monk, yeah, okay. So, looking for God. Okay, well, I'm looking for God too. So somehow or other, inspired by Krishna, I was able to get the message across to those two employees there. Yeah, that we should all be looking for God, although this is Office Depot, so we don't expect to have too much reaction here. A sannyasi is duty bound to take all these risks without fear. Okay, so Narada Muni wasn't afraid. Out of duty, he wasn't afraid. And the most typical sannyasi of the present age is Lord Chaitanya, who traveled in the same manner through the central Indian jungles, enlightening even the tigers, bears, snakies, deer, elephants, and many other jungle animals. Monkeys aren't listed. The protest here. In this age of Kali, sannyasa is forbidden for ordinary men. One who changes his dress to make propaganda is a different man from the original ideal of sannyasi. One should, however, take the vow to stop social intercourse completely and devote life exclusively to the service of the Lord. The change of dress is only a formality. Lord Chaitanya did not accept the name of a sannyasi in this age of Kali, and the so-called sannyasis should not change their former names, following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya. In this age, devotional service of hearing and repeating the holy glories of the Lord is strongly recommended. And one who takes the vows of renunciation of family life need not imitate the Parivrajak Acharya like Narada or Lord Chaitanya, but may sit down at some holy place and devote his whole time and energy to hear and repeatedly chant the holy scriptures left by the great acharyas like the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. So, of course, this is very challenging. One time we were in, I forgot the name of the place. It's in Peru. You cross over the Andes, which are very high, very high glaciers. And we came down, Tarapoto, Tampoco. On the other side, it's all jungle forest, and just everything grows and rain and beautiful. So devotees had a very nice project developing there, and we would visit it. We get on the bus like 9 o'clock at night and sleep to class all night. Maybe 20 devotees would go with us. Radhika went, and it's very interesting, very nice. You can see how they live so naturally and so easily. So it was a small town, maybe like the plaza, and around that had asphalt, and maybe one more ring of asphalt. And the third ring, asphalt was starting to fall apart, and definitely the fourth ring was all dirt, dirt roads. On the edge of town, there was a slaughterhouse, and he said it was open on Monday. Every Monday they would turn all the water on and everything and have hygienic slaughter. And I guess nobody was allowed to slaughter animals and stuff, except for chickens. Okay, poor chickens. So see, it was a very, very rustic, simple place in many ways like that. In many ways, it was very religious and very, very nice. People knew what was happening. They knew where the meat came from, children and stuff. So anyway, we went to the plaza, and a few local devotees came along, and they were very happy to have 20 basically like Sankirtan devotees there, men and women, grihastas, brahmacharis. We started chanting, and we were dressed in saris and dhotis and everything else. And I asked them to make a copy. It was on vegetarianism, about the cow, from Light of the Bhagavat. So they printed up a nice copy. It looked nice. It was good. And the same way, in Light of the Bhagavat, Prabhupada challenges people, but in such a way that people feel, okay, he's challenging me. He's saying something. But he's saying it in such a way that I know that he's expecting that that I have a right to come back and express things also as forthrightly as he does. And he's not just being, oh, I'm okay, you're okay. Well, So we're chanting, they're passing them out. I wonder what was going to happen if people were going to start attacking us. I wasn't sure. It was a frightening situation. We were traveling here with a sannyasi kind of leading the party. But so I watched out of the corner of my eye. So many times the same thing happened. people would like start to read it. Who are these people? Create some interest, some enthusiasm, do something. And people were looking at us and this and that and stuff. And then they would start to read it, and they would kind of look up at us now with like trying to like match up the people in front of them with the literature they got. They go on reading and looking up at us with more like stern faces. Read on like that. And then they would like looking at us, and then they maybe would lose interest or something and go on. But so many people folded it up and put it in their pocket. So that's, I think, a lot of Prabhupada's humor and idea and these purports and everything else is to be forthright. We're listening to Prabhupada. He's preaching. He's a sannyasi. Okay, specific cultural position, age, time, place, circumstance, and beyond that, of course, we reach Prabhupada as transcendental person. But here he is, understanding him, and so he's welcoming. Here, this is my idea. I'm speaking out. Now you speak out. What do you think? You tell me. Of course, a very, very famous story of it wasn't Hari Sori. It was Prabhupada's other secretary. It was named Shruti Kirti. He was always saying, Prabhupada, yes, Prabhupada, and Prabhupada would chastise him or chide him for something. He goes, oh, yes, Prabhupada, I'm sorry, Prabhupada. Yes, Prabhupada, I'll do that. Yes, Prabhupada. And he said, after a few days, Prabhupada looked at him and very seriously, and he started laughing, and he said, you're no fun. You never fight back. Like that. And so, I'll tell another story here before we finish. Okay. So General Patton, very famous, old blood and guts. He liked that name, and that's the name they gave him. People said he was a war general, and he was chastising his troops and so many things, and he took it when people would, sometimes he was chastised publicly for how he treated some of the soldiers, and he publicly apologized to the guy, and you could tell he meant it. And he said, basically, hey, but things are tough, and I'm sorry I got out of line. I was wrong, and the soldier accepted it. Big public thing. So. But after the war, himself, Churchill, and people like that, they were kind of out of place. But anyway, he was, a general there, and he had an aide de camp. Srila Prabhupada mentions this. He says the Chatra Vyuha, Shankarshan, Prajumna, Aniruddha, these are all the aide de camp of Krishna. So one lieutenant was his Ram Giridhari. Your microphone's open there. Ram Giridhari, I guess it's Ram Giridhari. His aide de camp, was saying, yes, General Patton, do this, do that, yes, General Patton, yes, General Patton. But after a few days, he kind of screwed his courage up, and when he thought something should be done a different way, he expressed his opinion, and General Patton kind of looked at him a little, sharply, and he screwed his own courage up a little more, and he said, General Patton, I don't think you became a general by just being a yes man. And so General Patton softened a little bit and looked at him and said, you're right. I didn't become a general by being a yes man. But he said, that's how I became a colonel. So Lieutenant said, yes, sir. Okay. So this is the situation of Prabhupada's purports and everything else here. And Kalakanta Prabhu told me he's preaching white power, that people should not give up their grihastha ashram, but go on and they can do better preaching and service. Okay. And Prabhupada's sannyas Gravadar told him, you cannot, preach really unless you accept this sannyas ashram, so on. And so there are many different perspectives on this. Prabhupada is an acharya for ISKCON for the next 10,000 years, this and that. And also, everything else. We take a lot of, precedence for the fact that Prabhupada did take sannyas, and that his life is exemplary, And he said, I was horrified. I had dreams of Bhaktisiddhanta coming to me saying, take sannyas, and join me in the preaching. And he said, I think if I say I was horrified, I was horrified. Like that. And he talked about it with some of his godbrothers, and Sridhar Maharaj especially recommended, said, yes, but Guru Maharaj has come to you, So it's a big topic, and I'm just bringing some points here. I just thought I'd finish off with my experience of this. I wanted to stay a brahmachari after my whole life there, when my whole marriage situation got resolved, and in the end, I basically become like I was following ISKCON at that point was basically in terms of Western culture being a sannyasi, 4 principles, everything else. So basically, my wife said, Prabhupada said to his wife, T or me. So my wife said to me, four principles or me. And so there was separation, and then finally she filed for divorce. But then she got remarried after 6 years, which according to Parasara is progressive in Kali Yuga. It's Dharma for a lady whose husband takes sannyas. Okay, so very very nice person. I think if I know what I know, if I knew then what I know or now and I had good advice, it could have adjusted things. But okay, everybody went their own direction. The dog went to a farm. I think maybe everybody has lived happily ever after. So anyway, I wanted to be a brahmachari. It was basically, I guess I was in Vanaprastha situation, but I just wanted to continue that, being like brahmachari and simple life, no formalities. But then I got pushed into it by many different circumstances like that. Okay, I took it up. And so I was living outside. I was living near the temple and one garage place we had in the warehouse and chatting and everything else. And basically, I could see went from uh, to Kurichak, integrated with the temple. Then I took off, just traveling all over the Bay Area, and could be independent of the temple politics, which was quite a deal. Do this, do that, and said, well, no, I have to talk about what I believe is true. You want to stay in my temple? I don't have to. I can sleep on the ground, or I can visit other grihastas. Well, all right, say what you want to. Yeah. So I did Parivrajacharya. I went all over the Bay Area, visiting people, traveling, and it was tough, tough. Sometimes I would sleep under the bushes. Yeah. And then finally, I just decided, okay, let's just take off, depend on Krishna. And so I did, and this one thing after another, never came back. At one point, even I had to go to South America, and I could see that it was a longer story, but this Krishna took all the money away. So all I had going to South America was my passport and $20. That was it. And I just got an invitation to go there and everything else, but but it happened in such a way that I really felt this is Krishna's arrangement. This cannot be happening by chance. So you go through that stages like that, Kutijak, Kutichak, Bahudak, Parivajak. And then I was traveling all over the place, and I was feeling theoretically, shastrically, Prabhupada's advice, and then actually experiencing many times how now Krishna was there. So we'll see later on how Narada Muni, after going through this Parivajak, has a very enlightening experience, and then he can go to Paramahans, and in the next lifetime, he just when the death comes, he just leaves this body and manifests his spiritual body, just like thunder follows lightning. Leaves the body and manifests the spiritual body. And now he's in the material world, but now he's in a body which is not material. It's like a diamond can be in water. It looks like the splashing, bouncing stream, but if you use your senses to feel it, it's completely opposite. So Narada Muni is in this world, but it's all a drama, a play being carried on around him. So that's our presentation here for tonight. So any discussions about this, Varnashram and Kutichak and Vanaprastha, and it's formally instituted in ISKCON now. Actually, Nitai Gaur Sundar's godbrother, Jai Gaur Sundar, told me he was the first formal Vanaprastha, GBC approved Vanaprastha. If you remain silent, people will think you're a fool. But if you speak, you remove all doubt. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Maharaj, thank you for sharing about your life. It was very inspiring to me and touching to my heart. Thank you, Maharaj.
So what do ladies do? Do ladies take sannyas?
No, they are always under the protection of father, husband, or son.
Okay. So when the husband takes to the sannyas ashram, what do ladies do? We have nice examples from our tradition like that. Do they wear bright saris and go out to parties and enjoy life? Traditionally, what do? What kind of clothes do they wear? Do they wear saffron colored clothes?
I don't think so. I have not seen that.
How old are you?
So 40 something.
40 something. Okay. When you reach 40, you kind of forget 40 something. So I'm 70 something. You know, yeah, yeah. And I remember when I was a child, back in like maybe 1954 or something, maybe I was 6 years old, and one of my grandmother's friends, or maybe one of her sisters or something, came to visit our family, my mother and father, and we went out there, and she was all dressed in black, you know. So I was wondering, it's kind of strange. So I asked my parents, my mother maybe said, why is she all dressed in black? And she said, oh, she's a widow, you know. And so it was a big deal in America. If you look in the popular media like Look magazine or Life magazine and this kind of stuff, um, right after World War II, it was a big deal because there have been many girls who've been married at 18 years old, war brides in some way, and their boys were going off to the war. And so maybe they had a child or two, and their husbands didn't make it back. So here you are, like maybe a 24-year-old widow with, 5-year-old and a 4-year-old. And now what are you supposed to do? Just dress in black and be the widow for the rest of your life? Yeah. So it was a big controversy in the popular media about what they should do. What is our standard? What's right? What's wrong? We always know that before, if a lady's wife died, and she would just stay a widow and dress in black, and that was the standard, in America. We'll speak of India. So the final conclusion in the media was that it's just unfair to expect like a 24-year-old girl to do this and stuff, younger girls. But if they want to do it and have that relationship with their husband, then we should all respect them, and everybody should give them a lot of help and understand. On the other hand, if girls after some time they remarry, then we should respect this. It's okay, and probably their husbands would have wanted it too. So it was a very nice cultural experience in America that when I was a child, the widows, we still see ladies all dressed in black. Nitek Gaur Sundar, you're an old guy. What was widows in your family and stuff? The ladies, would they dress in white when you were a child?
Yes, Maharaj, the widows were white.
Yeah. And so and then it's not that there's no smaller role for ladies than men. Men do it in a certain way. They go out, they travel, and the wife meditates on that. But because of her psychosocial situation, physical situation, she doesn't do it. Vishnu Priya didn't follow Lord Chaitanya, but she was just as good a sannyasi as he was. He was preaching the glories of the holy name, and she preached the glories of the holy name just as strongly as he did, from her perspective. So I don't know if nobody has any comments or questions here. Maybe everybody's thinking about this very deeply at this point.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Oh, okay. Hare Krishna.
Actually, Srila Prabhupada says that, the ladies, when the husband leave their body or they go and take sannyas, they stay at home and they become a guru in the family. I mean, they try to
Yes,
guide
exactly.
grandchildren and family members, and, they take task. If you don't come for Mangalarti, you do this, you do that, so that's how they engage their life. And they live like an ascetic within the house. That's my understanding.
No, this is exactly my understanding too. I was just, didn't want to carry on anymore though. Yeah, one of my god sisters, maybe you know her from Radhadesh. What's her name? Bhadra Devi Dasi, I think her name. We were there when Hansaduta was there and everything else, and then she went another direction. I was there. We met again many, many years later, maybe 20 years later and stuff. And she was in Radhadesh, and she remained Brahmachari the whole time, everything else. And it was very interesting because we got a chance to see each other. Okay, here's how it went if you followed your path, and here's how it went if you followed your path. And I could see she was extremely, what's the word, chaste and shy, but she was extremely powerful, and it wasn't, and if you got out of line, she put you back in line in terms of so many things, So, but not that, but again, very chaste, shy, and very, very well situated, very respected, very liked by everybody, but at the same time too, very potent. So there's no less is understanding, sannyas ashram for ladies and sannyas ashram for men, but it's not a formality, So anyway, who's in control of this meeting? I now call upon our adjudicator to take control of the meeting. You're talking, I can see your lips moving.
I am now.
How can you tell when Abhishek's? How can you tell when a liar is? How can you tell when a lawyer is lying?
When he talks?
When his lips move.
When his lips moves, yeah. Sounds about right. Thank you, Marge. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, if not, then Amit Bey, are the girls available to sing the Nishinga prayer?
They are. Give me just a minute, please.
Thank you.
Now they're going to ask, Daddy, are you going to take sannyas? evil culture.
Maybe so.
Namaste Narasingaya. Namaste Narasingaya. Pranadadaine. Pranadadaine. Hiranyakashipurvaksha. Hiranyakashipurvaksha. Shilatankanakalaya. Shilatankanakalaya. Ito nasingo parito nasingo. Ito nasingo parito nasingo. Yato yato yami tato nasingo. Yato yato yami tato nasingo. Mahina singo ridayena singo. Mahina singo ridayena singo. Narasinga madhim sharina prapade. Narasinga madhim sharina prapade. Tava kare kamala pare. Nakamadbhuta shingam. Tarita hiranyakashipu. Tanubringam. Keshavadita nararirupa. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Tafakare Kamala Pare. Nakamalbhuta Shringa. Nalita Hiranyakashipu. Tanubringam. Keshavadita nararirupa. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev. Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. नरसिंह भगवान की जय। हरे कृष्णा हरि बोल हरि बोल।
Thank you, ladies. So that concludes this evening's program. If everyone will go ahead and unmute themselves, we'll recite the Vaishnava Pranam prayer.
Vancha